The phone slipped from my hand, crashing onto the kitchen floor as I stared at the explicit messages popping up on the screen. Messages between my brother, Nolan, and my fiancé, Jordan. My heart pounded like a drum in my chest, the words blurring through tears. Late-night meetups, stolen kisses, promises of a future together. In that instant, my world shattered, and I knew nothing would ever be the same. I stood frozen in our cozy apartment in Seattle, the rain pattering against the window like an unwelcome spectator. Jordan and I had been engaged for 6 months, planning a quiet wedding in the spring. Nolan, my older brother by 2 years, had always been the golden child, straight-A student, star athlete, the one our conservative parents pinned all their hopes on. Me? I was the quiet one, the artist who came out as gay in college, enduring Dad's disappointed sighs and Mom's tearful prayers. But now, this betrayal cut deeper than any family disapproval I'd faced. Jordan walked in from work, his smile fading as he saw my face. "Ethan? What's wrong?" he asked, dropping his bag. I thrust the phone at him, the evidence glaring. His face paled, and he stammered, "It's not what it looks like." But it was exactly what it looked like. Nolan, who I'd always thought was straight, had been seeing Jordan behind my back for months. The messages detailed everything. How they met at a family barbecue, the spark when they brushed hands, the secret dates in hidden cafes. I demanded answers. Jordan sank onto the couch, head in hands. "I didn't plan this, Ethan." "Nolan, he's confused. He's been struggling with his feelings for years." Struggling? Nolan had dated girls all through high school, bragged about his conquests. Was this some midlife crisis at 28? Or had he been hiding all along, just like I had before coming out? That night, I confronted Nolan at his place across town. He opened the door, looking disheveled, eyes red. "Ethan, I can explain," he said, but his voice cracked. We sat in his living room, the tension thick as fog. He admitted it all, the attraction to men he'd suppressed since adolescence, the fear of disappointing our parents, who ran a small church community center in the suburbs. Dad was a deacon, Mom organized Bible studies. Being gay wasn't just taboo, it was a sin in their eyes. "But why Jordan?" I yelled, my voice echoing off the walls. Nolan looked away. "Because he understood. You were always so open, Ethan. I envied that. Jordan made me feel seen. Seen? While destroying my life." The betrayal burned, but beneath it, a flicker of empathy stirred. I'd been there, hiding in the closet, terrified of rejection. Yet this was my brother and my fiancé, 2 people I trusted most. The next day, I called off the engagement. Jordan begged for forgiveness, promising therapy, but the trust was gone. I moved out, crashing on a friend's couch. Word spread like wildfire in our tight-knit family. Mom called, hysterical. "What's this about Jordan and Nolan? It can't be true." I told her everything, my voice steady despite the storm inside. Dad's response was silence, then a gruff, "We'll handle this." Family dinner that weekend was a battlefield. We gathered at our parents' house in Bellevue, the air heavy with unspoken accusations. Dad slammed his fist on the table. "Nolan, is this some joke? You're not like that." The word gay hung unspoken, a forbidden curse. Nolan, pale but resolute, nodded. "I am, Dad. I've always been." Mom burst into tears, clutching her rosary. "How could you? After everything we've taught you." I sat there, torn. Part of me wanted to defend Nolan, to say I'd survived coming out, that love was love. But the hurt from his affair with Jordan fueled my anger. "You didn't just come out, Nolan. You stabbed me in the back," I said, my words sharp. The dinner devolved into shouts. Dad blaming my lifestyle for influencing Nolan. Mom pleading for us to pray it away. Jordan wasn't invited. He'd become the villain in their narrative, the outsider who corrupted their sons. In the weeks that followed, the fallout rippled outward. Nolan lost his job at the family friend's accounting firm. Whispers of his deviant behavior circulated. He spiraled, drinking too much, isolating himself. I tried to reach out, but our conversations turned into arguments. "You think you're the victim here?" he snapped one night over the phone. I've lived a lie my whole life because of them. You got to be free. Free? My freedom came at a cost. Strained holidays, judgmental glances from relatives. Now, with this scandal, our family fractured further. Cousins unfriended us on social media. Church friends offered prayers for healing. Society's acceptance of gay rights felt superficial. In our conservative bubble, we were pariahs. I threw myself into work at the graphic design firm, but the inner conflict gnawed at me. Was I wrong to expose them? Should I have kept the secret, protected Nolan's journey? The moral dilemma weighed heavy. Loyalty to family versus self-preservation. One evening, walking through Pike Place Market, I bumped into Jordan. He looked gaunt, remorseful. I never meant to hurt you, he said. We talked for hours, unraveling the mess. He admitted his bisexuality, how Nolan's vulnerability drew him in. But excuses didn't mend the betrayal. As tensions escalated, Dad issued an ultimatum. Nolan had to get help or leave the family. Therapy, but the conversion kind, illegal in Washington, but underground groups still existed. Nolan refused, packing his bags. I'm done pretending, he declared. Moving to a small apartment in Capitol Hill, Seattle's gay-friendly neighborhood. Watching him go, I felt a pang of guilt. Had my anger pushed him to this? Or was this his path to authenticity? The family rift deepened. Mom stopped speaking to me, blaming me for stirring the pot. I attended therapy myself, grappling with the ethics of forgiveness. Was betraying a loved one ever justifiable for personal truth? Months passed, and Nolan began rebuilding. He joined a support group for late bloomers, found a new job at a progressive tech company. We met for coffee occasionally, awkward at first but slowly mending. I'm sorry, Ethan, he said one day. I was selfish. I nodded, the wound scarring over. But the price was high, lost relationships, shattered illusions. Yet, in the quiet moments, I wondered if this chaos was necessary. It forced our family to confront prejudices, even if painfully. Dad started reading books on acceptance. Mom attended a PFLAG meeting. Change was slow, but stirring. The story's climax loomed as Jordan re-entered the picture, seeking closure. He proposed a meeting with all three of us. We need to talk, heal, he said. I agreed, heart racing. At a neutral cafe, emotions erupted. Accusations flew, Jordan's infidelity, Nolan's deception, my unforgiving stance. But amid the storm, truths emerged. Jordan's fear of commitment, Nolan's repressed identity, my own insecurities. We didn't reconcile romantically, but a fragile understanding formed. Jordan moved away, starting fresh. Nolan and I grew closer, brothers united by shared struggles. The family, though scarred, began tentative repairs. In the end, was exposing the affair the right choice, or did it cause unnecessary destruction? The fallout from that fateful discovery didn't stop at family dinners. It seeped into every corner of my life, like ink spreading on paper. I found myself questioning not just Nolan and Jordan, but my own role in this drama. Had I been too blind, too trusting? The inner turmoil kept me up nights, replaying scenarios where I could have prevented the betrayal. At work, my designs suffered, colors muted, lines jagged, reflecting my chaos. My boss, a kind woman named Lisa, pulled me aside. Ethan, what's going on? You're not yourself. I confided a sanitized version, omitting the gay aspects to avoid judgment. She nodded sympathetically. Family stuff is tough. Take some time if you need. But time off meant more rumination, more doubt. Society's pressures amplified the pain. In Seattle, progressive on paper, but microaggressions lingered. Friends asked invasive questions. How could Nolan do that? Isn't he straight? As if orientation was a switch. I defended him instinctively, but resentment simmered. Why protect the one who hurt me? Nolan's journey post-ultimatum was rocky. Living in Capitol Hill, he immersed in the LGBTQ community, pride events, drag shows, but it overwhelmed him. It's like I've been dropped into a new world, he told me over lunch. Everyone's so out and proud. I feel like a fraud. His words echoed my own coming-out experience, the isolation of not fitting in either world. One night, he called me in tears. "Dad showed up at my door, Ethan. He wants me to come home, but only if I fix this." Fix? The word twisted like a knife. I drove over, finding Nolan curled on the couch. We talked till dawn, unpacking years of suppression. He revealed childhood crushes on boys, hidden diaries, the shame instilled by our upbringing. "I thought marrying a woman would cure it," he admitted. But then Jordan. The name still stung. I'd blocked him, but he emailed apologies, detailing his own bisexuality struggles. "I love you both in different ways," he wrote. Different ways felt like a cop-out. The moral quandary deepened. Was polyamory an option, or just an excuse for infidelity? I deleted the email, but the questions lingered. Family dynamics shifted dramatically. Mom, once the peacemaker, withdrew into her faith, attending more church services. She sent me articles on redeeming homosexuality, which I trashed unread. Dad, surprisingly, softened. He called me one evening. "Son, I don't understand this lifestyle, but you're my boys." It was a crack in his armor, but progress? The community backlash hit harder. At a cousin's wedding, whispers followed us. Aunt Karen pulled me aside. "How could you let this happen? It's tearing the family apart." Let it happen, as if I orchestrated the affair. The hypocrisy burned. Straight relatives with divorces and affairs got passes, but gay drama was scandalous. Nolan faced direct confrontation. At a bar, old high school buddies cornered him. "Dude, you're gay now? That's messed up." One punched him a hate-fueled swing. He ended up in the ER with a bruised jaw. I rushed there, anger boiling. "This is what hiding leads to," I said, holding his hand. He nodded, tears streaming. The incident awakened him. He filed a police report, outing the assailant publicly. The media caught wind. Local news ran a story on rising hate crimes in the LGBTQ community, featuring Nolan anonymously. It sparked debates online. Was coming out worth the risk? Comments ranged from supportive to vile, mirroring society's divide. I posted in support, my first public stance since the scandal. Likes poured in, but so did trolls. "Your family's cursed." Internally, I battled forgiveness. Therapy helped unpack it, betrayal trauma, they called it. "You have to decide if the relationship is worth the pain," my counselor said. With Nolan, yes, blood tied us. But Jordan? A chance encounter at a gallery opening tested that. He approached hesitantly. "Ethan, can we talk?" We did, over wine. He confessed his cowardice, how fear of labels led to deception. "I thought I could have both worlds," he said. Both worlds? The entitlement irked me, yet his vulnerability mirrored Nolan's. Was I being hypocritical, judging him while empathizing with my brother? The night ended without resolution, but seeds of doubt planted. As high tide approached, Dad organized a family intervention. We met at a neutral cabin in the Olympics, no distractions. Tensions exploded immediately. Mom accused Nolan of selfishness. "You broke Ethan's heart for your urges." Dad defended vaguely. "We're all sinners." Nolan fired back. "This isn't a sin. It's who I am." I mediated, but my own grievances surfaced. "You both betrayed me. How do I move past that?" Hours of raw emotion followed. Tears, hugs, relapses into anger. Dad admitted his own prejudices stemmed from his upbringing, a strict military father. "I don't want to lose you boys." Mom softened, sharing her fear of societal judgment. By dawn, no miracles, but a pact. Therapy for all, open dialogue. Nolan thrived post-intervention, dating openly, advocating for LGBTQ rights. I rebuilt too, focusing on art that explored identity. But the cost lingered, lost friends, strained holidays. Jordan faded from our lives, a painful but necessary severance. The experience forced growth, but at what price? Betrayal for truth. Worth it? Rebuilding after the storm wasn't linear. It zigzagged through relapses and revelations, each step testing our resilience. I threw myself into a new project, a graphic novel about hidden identities, inspired by our saga. Sketches poured out, shadowed figures breaking chains, symbolizing the internal prisons we build. Nolan's advocacy took off. He spoke at local events, sharing his story of repression and liberation. Coming out isn't just personal, it's political, he said in one panel. Applause followed, but so did threats. Anonymous emails warning him to stay quiet. Society's underbelly revealed itself. Progress masked persistent hate. One evening, a protest turned violent. Nolan was there marching for equality bills. Counter-protesters clashed, fists flying. He called me from the hospital again, this time with a concussion. "Is this the price, Ethan?" he asked, voice weak. I sat by his bed, guilt gnawing. My exposure had pushed him into the spotlight, amplifying risks. Family therapy sessions became battlegrounds. Our counselor, Dr. Ramirez, probed deep. "What does acceptance mean to you?" Dad struggled. "Not judging, I guess." Mom confessed her internalized homophobia, rooted in church doctrine. "I love you both, but the Bible," Nolan challenged. "The Bible also says love thy neighbor." Debates raged, ethics clashing, divine law versus human rights. I faced my own demons. A date with a kind guy, Mark, ended abruptly when I confessed the scandal. "That's heavy," he said, ghosting after. Rejection stung, reinforcing isolation. Was my story a scarlet letter? The moral tightrope. Share truth or hide scars. Jordan resurfaced via a mutual friend, now in therapy himself. He invited me to a support group for infidelity survivors. Reluctant, I went. Hearing others' stories, betrayals, forgiveness mirrored mine. Jordan spoke last. "I destroyed lives for my confusion."
I'm sorry.
Our eyes met. No sparks, just closure. But closure cracked open new wounds. Nolan admitted jealousy. "You had Jordan first. I wanted what you had, freedom." Sibling rivalry twisted with sexuality. A toxic brew. We argued fiercely. "You took it, Nolan, without asking." He countered. "You flaunted it while I suffered in silence." The apex built at Thanksgiving. Family gathered warily, first since the intervention. Dad carved turkey awkwardly. Mom forced smiles. Then, Uncle Bob, ever the bigot, joked, "So boys, any girlfriends yet?" Silence fell.
Nolan stood. "No, uncle."
Boyfriends. Chaos ensued. Bob ranted about perversion. Dad defended us. Mom mediated. I watched, heart pounding, as old prejudices surfaced. Bob stormed out, vowing to cut ties. The family splintered further. Some sided with him, others with us. The loss hurt, but it clarified alliances. Dad hugged us. "You're my sons. That's enough." A turning point, paid in relational currency. Post-holiday, Nolan's health declined. Stress-induced anxiety attacks. I moved him in temporarily, brotherly bond strengthening. We dissected choices. His affair, a desperate grasp at authenticity. My exposure, a bid for justice. "We both paid," he said. Indeed, emotional bankruptcy. Society's mirror reflected back. A viral tweet about our story, anonymized, sparked debates. Is outing someone ever okay? Responses polarized, some praised liberation, others decried violation. I engaged anonymously, defending nuance. As tensions peaked, a family crisis hit. Mom's health scare, a minor stroke from stress. Hospital bedside, we united. "I don't want to lose any of you," she whispered. Vulnerability bridged gaps. We promised change. Healing began tentatively. Nolan dated steadily. I focused on self. The graphic novel sold modestly, channeling pain into art. But scars remained, trust issues, familial caution. In retrospect, the betrayals catalyzed evolution, but the ethical fog persisted. Did the ends justify the means? With Mom's recovery, the family entered a fragile new normal, where conversations tiptoed around triggers but delved deeper than before. I visited often, helping with chores, sensing the unspoken gratitude. Dad, in his gruff way, asked about my dating life first. Anyone special? He grunted. I shook my head, the wound from Jordan still fresh. Nolan's relationship blossomed with a guy named Chris, a teacher who understood his baggage. He's patient, Nolan beamed. Watching them, envy mixed with joy. He'd found what I lost. But society intruded. At a school event, parents whispered about the gay couple. Chris shrugged it off, but Nolan tensed. Flashbacks to assaults. The psychological toll mounted. I experienced nightmares, reliving the phone drop, the messages. Therapy intensified. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, Dr. Ramirez said. It's releasing the hold. Easier said. The moral calculus haunted. Jordan's betrayal versus his own pain. Was empathy absolution? A surprise confrontation arose when Jordan returned to Seattle for work. He texted, "Coffee? For old times." Against better judgment, I agreed. At the cafe, he looked changed, calmer. "I've come out as bi," he said. Therapy helped. We dissected the affair. His fear of choosing, Nolan's allure as the forbidden. I was wrong, he admitted.
No excuses.
The talk shifted gears. Do you hate me? He asked. Hate? No, but trust evaporated. We parted amicably. A chapter closed. Yet it stirred unrest. Had I been too harsh? Family bonds tested again at Christmas. We hosted neutrally, excluding divisive relatives. Gifts exchanged, but undercurrents swirled. Mom pulled Nolan aside. I'm trying to understand. He shared resources. She read haltingly. Dad joined a Father's support group, surprising us. Progress, incremental but real. Society's pressures didn't relent. Nolan's advocacy drew media attention. A podcast interview went viral. Listeners praised his courage, but haters doxed him, forcing a move. Is visibility worth this? He questioned. I pondered. Silence breeds stagnation, but exposure invites danger. The dilemma epitomized our era's struggles. Internally, I confronted self-doubt. My art flourished, but personal life stalled. A blind date flopped when backstory surfaced. Too much drama, he said. Isolation bred reflection. Was I defined by betrayal? The climax brewed at a family reunion picnic. Relatives converged, tensions palpable. Cousin Lisa, progressive, defended us. Love is love. But Aunt Karen attacked. This family's gone to hell. Arguments escalated. Dad intervened. Enough! My sons are who they are. A stand costly, he lost friends. In the aftermath, Nolan broke down. I caused this. I reassured. No, prejudice did. We vowed resilience, supporting each other. Mom's evolution shone. She attended Pride with us, tentative but present. Healing's price. Emotional exhaustion, lost connections. But gains emerged, authenticity, deeper bonds. Jordan faded, his role a catalyst. The journey underscored choices ripples. Betrayal for growth. Ethical? As spring bloomed, so did tentative hope, though shadows of past conflicts lingered like fading bruises. My graphic novel launched to modest acclaim, reviews praising its raw exploration of identity and betrayal. Readers messaged, this mirrored my life. Validation, but it reopened wounds, reliving the story nightly. Nolan and Chris got engaged. A quiet affair in a park. I stood as best man, heart swelling. Thanks for pushing me to this, Nolan whispered. Pushing? My exposure accelerated his path, but at my expense. The irony bit. Family adapted unevenly. Dad volunteered at the community center's LGBTQ outreach, a 180 from his past. Mom baked for Pride bake sales, her way of reconciling faith and love. Siblings' bonds solidified. We vacationed together, laughter overriding awkwardness. Yet, society's grind persisted. A workplace discrimination suit against Nolan's old firm highlighted systemic issues. He testified, voice steady, hiding costs more than truth. The win was bittersweet compensation but trauma revisited. Personally, I met someone, Ben, a writer with his own scars. We bonded over shared vulnerabilities, taking it slow. Your story doesn't scare me, he said. Hope flickered. The ultimate test came at a joint therapy session. We unpacked layers. Nolan's repression leading to reckless choices, Jordan's indecision fueling hurt, my reaction amplifying fallout. Dr. Ramirez posed, "What have you learned?" Answers varied. Forgiveness's complexity, truth's double edge. In quiet reflection, the saga's toll tallied. Shattered engagement, familial rifts, personal growth. Gains outweighed? Debatable. Years on, scars faded, but lessons endured. We emerged stronger, but forever changed. Was forcing the truth out, despite the pain it caused, ultimately the right decision, or did it inflict more harm than good?